Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I want to talk about the volume profile because I get the same question time and time again and over. Why is it that I choose the volume profile over all the different indicators that you could possibly use? And I'm going to talk about my reasoning and show you an example as to what I mean, when I use the volume profile, okay? And purposely why that's the only indicator of my choice that I tend to use. Now, I've covered and talked about, in previous videos, about the volume profile and what it's used for, or what some traders may use it for. Traders out there that use it may, put their own little twist on it or have their own reasoning as far as why they actually use it. But volume is volume. When we look at volume in the market, we're looking at areas where the market has transacted at, and it could be historically, over a period of months or weeks or days. But what that primarily means is that price loves those target areas, okay? Especially when you see high peaks or big volume areas. It's like a magnet. Price likes to go back to that area. It's an area where price feels comfortable at, and it's where a lot of transactions took place, meaning a lot of trades took place. So the volume profile is extremely, to me, an important intricate part to my trading because it allows me to identify areas in which I kind of use like a GPS, in a sense, because, and I'm going to talk to you about that too, because I like to know, the geographical areas where I'm looking to take an interest at, which I mean is the zones of a supply and demand area. How does the volume profile tie into my trading? Now, I trade supply and demand, and if you don't know much about supply and demand, you can pick up, understand, learn a lot about supply and demand by simply watching the videos here in this channel. Yes, there are tons of videos on the channel, and if you watch the ones that are titled primarily supply and demand, you will pick up on a lot of information as to how I trade supply and demand. You don't have to trade it. You do not have to trade it like me. You can put your own twist on it. There are traders out there that trade supply and demand and may trade it slightly different than I do. So that's the beauty about trading, is creating and making something your own little niche, right? Or niche, however you want to say it. Okay, potato. So anyways, getting back to what I'm saying, volume profile and how I use it. Again, I use it like a GPS. When you put in a location, you put in your phone, into the maps or whatever, and you're traveling, going to take a vacation, or maybe you need to get to point A or B, you put that in, okay? And it's a roadmap that lets you know your point of where you're leaving from to your destination, okay? That's kind of how I use it in a nutshell when it comes to my trading, okay? It helps me identify areas specifically where volume rests at. I'm not interested in areas primarily where low volume is resting at, because I talk about how volume can move from a high volume area, and it likes to do this, from a high volume area, drives through a low volume area to another high volume area. That's just how the market kind of pushes and pulls and moves from one area to another. And those volume areas, which are peaks and valleys, I call them, are areas of interest, So if you haven't looked at the volume profile, I highly recommend you kind of taking the time to look at it, all right? So I'm just going to show you here today. What I have here is the volume profile here on the right-hand side, okay? You can put it over here to the left-hand side, just depending on your own personal preference of where you want to see it at, laid at on your chart. Now, I use a third-party indicator, and I've talked about this in the past. It's from discotrading.com. Right now, they are down, okay, because of the sanctions that are going on with the war and everything overseas. But the company is it's not taking on any new purchases or any new orders at this time, because they cannot, okay? But all currently existing customers, they are still, allowing those licenses to be active, okay? And still working with current customers, all right? New customers, at this moment right now, it's out of their hands because of the sanctions, but they're still honoring all their previous customers or existing customers, all right? But, outside of that, there are many volume profile tools out there. You don't have to use this one, all right? It's not all about just finding the exact one that someone else uses. Volume profile is volume, okay? You can look at the one I use from this third-party indicator, which is from a third-party company, or you can use the one specifically built into NinjaTrader, okay? And the only reason why I use the volume profile that I have now today, I've been using this for many years because NinjaTrader years ago didn't really have a nice order flow suite or volume profile package, as part of their platform, okay, as an indicator that you can upload or bring into the fold, okay, load to your charts. But there's so many other third parties out there that offer volume profile suites or tools that you can import into the trader. But I'm not here to talk about that today, okay, guys, because they're out there, all right? But anyways, volume profile and how I use it. I always talk about looking to sell at areas where price is at a premium, okay? That means points of interest where we have high price levels, all right? And that's what the banks and institutions are gauging on. When price taps into a supply zone, this right here is a supply zone, okay? Supply is an aggressive area. We're selling it, okay? And demand is an aggressive area, we're buying it. If they're interested in selling, they're interested in selling at high price points, okay? All right, aka premium areas, okay? If they're interested in buying in a certain area, they're going to buy at discounted areas. They want to get into the market where prices are cheaper. It just makes sense, okay, guys? All right, you want to buy a home when the price when home values have skyrocketed. Do you want to buy into that, or when interest rates are high? Those two don't come together and they don't mesh well. All right, it's a recipe for disaster. So it's just logically, speaking, it just makes sense to understand supply and demand and how to trade it and couple it with the volume profile. So as an example, this here was a supply area. Okay, now we have price breaking lower. It's taking out this area structure. So you see this where price pushed up, pulled back, and broke higher right here. It created an area structure right here, okay? And price was already at the point making higher highs and higher lows, okay? So we were bullish, on the lower time frames, like my 24 range, my 12 range, things of that nature, okay? The key to, in the style of how I trade is, like, I like to use, talk about confluence of multiple charts. When all the charts, say for instance, or two of the charts, for instance, line up a higher time frame with a lower time frame, the trade is going to work more in your favor, okay? Talking about high probability setups. Now, I'm going to show you an example to where we have the 24 range, 12 range, and the 4 range. Okay, I trade range-based charts. Same thing, you could trade it using time-based or, tick-based, whatever your style or what your preference is as far as chart types, okay? Now, higher time frame, slightly higher time frame. My higher time frame is my 60 range, okay? But what we're bringing into the fold here is a 24 range. Higher time, the 24 range, we've got a supply area right here. Price break structure right here below 45 and 12 and 3/4. Okay, pulls back. We have aggressive selling right here. All right, and then price pulls back to this area of supply right here. Now I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. Look to the right now. Look at the volume profile. Okay, I would be interested in looking, and this is how I use the volume profile, where price pulls back, 1, to a key area of supply, as in this example here. 2, I'm looking over to the right hand side of the chart now, and I see that volume is at the upper peak area of, or the outer edge of, this high volume area, where prices are higher, not at the middle or below. Look, if you look at price areas that are below the high volume area, those are more so areas where I'm looking to buy at. Okay, so I look to buy below the high volume and sell above the high volume, okay, at higher prices. Price pulls back to the key area of supply right here. All right, it's tapped into the supply zone here. We're above a high volume area, okay? Then I just scale down to my, start scaling down from one chart to another. I scale down to my 12 range chart now, all right? Same area right here. You see it? Okay, the same area that I marked off on the 24 range, this red box, is here on the 12 range. So we got the breaker structure again below 45, 12 and 3/4. Again, we are still what? Bearish, because we broke structure to the downside, okay? From the 24, now scaled down to the 12 range. This is that 24 range supply zone, all right? Price pulls back to it. We're tapped into it. I look over to the right-hand side again. Here, even on the 12 range, we're back where? Above the high volume area. Above the high volume area right here, at the upper edge of this high volume node right here, okay? So I'm looking for interest to go short, okay? All right, confluence, 24, 12 range. Let's scale down to the 4 range now, okay? Because I know a lot of individuals out there, and especially traders that have been following this channel, and they are part of our Discord community. They are, using that approach that I talk about, the strategy I use about using paired charts and knowing when to get into a trade. Setting yourself up for a high probability trade by having more, where more confluence comes together on multiple charts. All right, 24, 12. Let's look at the 4 range chart now. Okay, So I'll scale down to the 4 range chart. All right, bring that into the fold. This is my 4 range chart. Now look, price has, again, made lower lows and lower highs. We are bearish on the 4 range, even on the 4 range, okay? All right, so this is that 24 range supply zone. Marked it off on the 12 range, so it's even on the 12 range. Price pulls back into it, all right? And I'm interested in looking for a short opportunity, okay? Now I know a lot of people probably would say this, and follow the channel would say, oh, and looking at the 24 range chart, I see the supply zone here, but when I scale down to the 12 range chart, I don't see a imbalance resting back on the supply zone. Here's the thing. We're using a 24 range. We're marking that zone from the 24 range chart, that supply area. Now, there is not an imbalance really resting back on the, on the, 12 range chart here when we marked off, from marking off that 24 range supply. But we're looking, the zone is marked off on the 24 range supply, okay? Now I'm just scaling down to my 12 range to basically, this box right here, this red box, this is, or outlined with the red, that is the 24 range supply area that does have the imbalance, okay? I'm just showing it on the 12 range as well, the general area, okay? Now there is not an imbalance here that's going to show up on the 12 range chart, but we're taking a trade off the supply zone that was formed from the 24 range chart. Now, what we're looking at as well is that once it pulls back to that 24 range supply area, and we identify here on the 12 range chart that there's still opportunity to take price back down to the lows when it taps into that 24 range supply zone, but we're not taking our trade off the 24 range chart. We're looking for things to unfold as we scale down to our lower time frame charts. So 24 range supply zone, here this is off the 12 range chart, what it looks like. So we do have an area of supply resting right here, but it's just there's no imbalance here on the actual chart. I'm using this just as a reference or example of how to incorporate the volume profile, okay, and showing you a supply setup off of the 24 range chart and scaling down to, throughout our charts down to the 4 range chart, okay. So the 24 on the 12 range chart, this is that 24 range supply zone. Price pulls back. We still have opportunity if we get a short entry here to take price where back down to the lows right here where I have this green arrow marked at. All right. So now let's scale down. Okay. So we're down on the 4 range chart now. Okay. And typically, I know a lot of traders, they look for that M structure, which gives them a sign of rejection somewhere at a supply area on a 4 range chart. Or you can look for price to basically once it taps into the higher time frame supply zone, then you can either look for that M structure, and I talk about how you can also wait for a breaker structure to occur on the 4 range chart and then a pullback to a supply zone on the 4 range chart to kind of give you double means of confirmation. But this is the zone in which we want to trade from, okay, to look for an opportunity to go short, because the higher time frame shows us that there is still interest where that imbalance lies at on the 24 range chart to be able to look for a short entry, okay? And if you really, okay, let's see here. So if we look to take interest to take a short in this area right here, right? We look over to the right hand side. Now, in the right hand side of here in the volume profile, looks like we're like kind of in the middle of a high volume area right here, right? But that's because price has taken into consideration the whole trading day worth of volume, okay? So in this instance, because we're not able to use kind of like a dynamic volume profile here, like I showed you on the 12 and 24 range, what I typically do then at that point there is if I want to get the volume or area which I'm looking to trade from to go short, which is this area right here, we got to break a structure to the downside, then I'm going to take, I use what's called the micro volume range profile tool, okay? And I just scope out this area right here, okay? Right here in this area right here. If my interest is to take a trade above the high volume area, okay, once I've scaled down throughout the charts to my lowest time frame, because now I've tapped into a higher time frame supply zone, my interest is going to be above this high volume area. Again, this is a micro range profile tool that I just drawn out using the tool within the volume profile that I use, or indicator I use, okay? So price retraces, taps into the high volume area, looking for rejection up in this area here, okay, above a high volume area where we had a breaking structure to the downside. Once I see rejection, then I'm going to go ahead and take that trade going short, all right? Now, typically what I do is Most instances, you guys know that I trade strictly from my 12 range chart. So if I was to look at my 12 range chart, then it's basically, for me, I'm just looking for a opportunity at the break of a candle or break of candle in the opposite direction, okay? Which would have occurred right here in a sense. But because I'm aggressive, we're right at the top end of the high volume profile area right here. I'm looking as soon as price breaks below, say for instance, 45, 15 and 3/4, I'm going short. We did get a pullback here. So some people would say, well, I couldn't weather that storm. It's just, that's the way price kind of unfolds and things unfold. We're looking at a time frame too, which was around lunchtime too. So volume kind of thins out and not a lot of heavy volume going on around that time. But again, just taking consideration the reference area of what I'm talking about when it comes to when we're talking about the volume profile, where to take your trades from. You don't want to take a trade going short down here or at the middle right here. You want to take it at the upper edge, okay? When you're going short, because you want to be able to sell in an area of premium, not at an area of a discount, okay? Do not want to be doing that. You want to be buying in areas where there's discounts or cheaper price areas. But I'm just showing you in relation to supply and demand zones, in this case here, a supply area where we were looking to take or going to take our trades from the upper portion of a high volume area, okay? And take it to go lower, all right? Again, this trade setup unfolded because we're looking at a 24 range supply zone, okay? All right? We don't take our trade specifically from that chart unless you truly have the capital to be able to weather the market really kind of pushing and pulling, because, it may pull 5 or 10 points, at any given time, the higher that you get up on a chart, okay? So that's the beauty about being able to use lower time frames and scaling down and have multiple means of confluence. Again, this video is about volume profile and really what to use and how to use it or incorporate into your own trading. All right, so that's all I want to cover really primarily in this video today. I appreciate everyone tuning in and taking time out of your day to watch this video. If you're interested in joining our Discord community, I always say it is found down in the description portion of the video. There's a link there. Click on it, invite yourself in. It's free of charge. And come and join us on the Trading Floor channel within the Discord community, to where during the week when the US session is open, you can catch us posting screenshots and taking trades, okay? Now, we're not live, but we are, as community members, posting trades that we take so that other fellow members can see. If they have questions, we can, it's an opportunity to be able to explain what your thought process was or why you took that trade as well, okay? Because people do that. It's just a way to be able to other people can learn from one another, all right? So come and join us. The link to the Discord, again, is down in the description portion of the video. I wish everyone a safe and, Labor Day weekend. Today's Sunday. I know we got tomorrow's Labor Day. So if, all those that celebrate it, be safe. And whether you're traveling or at home with your family, I wish you the best and the greatest times, all right? I'll see everyone next week as we get to rocking and rolling. I think tomorrow the market's only open to 12, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. Central time, wherever the case may be. I'm definitely not going to be trading tomorrow. Because of the fact is I don't trade around holidays like that, okay? I don't even care if the market is open for a few hours, but the banks are closed, so I'm not trading, okay? So anyways, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, one other thing I forgot to mention. The biggest and most important part. If you're not a current subscriber, please take the time to go ahead and sub by clicking on that subscribe button down below. Make sure to click the bell so that you turn on all your post notifications, and drop a like on the video, guys. I appreciate your interest. I appreciate all your positive comments. I appreciate all your feedback, and thank you for doing so, because this is the reason why I'm making these videos, so that other people can become educated in ways to be able to improve their trading. Take care.